Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Madhavdas Gopalkrishnan. A massive showdown has erupted after academic and Indian origin UK professor Nitasha Kaul was denied entry into India. The professor revealed that she was invited to the Karnataka, or rather by the Karnataka government, to be part of a two-day convention. But after she landed in Bengaluru, she was stopped at the airport for hours and then deported from the country. In a lengthy post on social media X, she detailed her 72-hour ordeal, claiming that she was denied entry because of her criticism of the RSS in the past. Now, Nitasha Kaul claims that she was invited by the government to address Constitution and National Unity Convention 2024, or rather be part of this particular convention in Karnataka. Her travel and logistics had also been arranged by the state government, but with no advance information, she was stopped at the airport. She also said that while the immigration gave her no specific reason for the action, they said that there were orders from Delhi and informally made references to her criticism of the RSS in the past. Now, this issue has now taken a political turn, with the BJP slamming the professor as anti-national and questioning the Congress government for extending an invitation to Nitasha Kaul. The BJP has accused the Congress government of misusing taxpayers' money to channel funds to anti-nationals, quote-unquote, trying to destabilize India ahead of elections. The Congress, though, has claimed that it was an attack on the freedom of speech.
संविधान के बारे में बात किया नहीं, केवल मोदी जी को निंदा किया है। निंदा करना मतलब संविधान का मजबूत करना होता है क्या? ब्रेकिंग इंडिया कुछ लोगों को बुला करके, ब्रेकिंग इंडिया फोर्स देश में भी है, देश के बाहर में भी है। इंडियन गवर्नमेंट सही किया है।
Just because she doesn't subscribe to your ideology, is this dictatorship in the country today? Is there no freedom of expression? Is there no freedom to participate in a debate on constitution? So this is an insult to the 6.5 crore Kannadigas who elected a government, and that government invites an academic, and this central government headed by Mr. Modi, belonging to BJP, denies her the entry.
And while the Congress government has claimed that it was a crackdown on critics, government sources at the centre confirmed that she was deported for an anti-India stand in the past. In fact, in several of her works, Nitasha Kaul has mentioned Kashmir as India-administered Kashmir, quote-unquote, and claims brutal suppression of Kashmiri aspirations. This despite J&K seeing a sea of transformation after the abrogation of Article 370, as has been cited by the centre on many occasions. Now, she's claimed that the Ram Mandir has been built in a site of conflict, despite the fact that the Mandir construction began only after this dispute was settled in the Supreme Court. The BJP reminded the Congress of her anti-India stance, while the Congress has said that the action reeks of dictatorship.
She might be a noted writer. All the people who write things need not write the right things. They might write the wrong things also. She has an anti-India mindset. She is pro-Pakistan. All her talks and all her writings about giving the Kashmir back to Pakistan. She has spewed poison about the India's constitution, democracy and everything. Such a person, you invite her to come to Karnataka to give a talk on the constitution itself, that doesn't make any sense. And India should not allow such anti-India mindset.
This shows, what type of democracy is there in our country. How do they respect the constitution? What is the freedom of speech? So if they try to suppress them, this is not a good thing for our country. But in a case, our government itself trying to suppress their rights, it is condemnable.
Sources in the government have also cited Nitasha Kaul's appearance before the US House Committee on Foreign Affairs in October 2019. That is 2 months after the abrogation of Article 370. She appeared as one of the key witnesses in the House Committee's hearing and criticized the BJP and RSS, drawing parallels with Nazi Germany. On Kashmir, she made a slew of claims, including that every other day for Kashmiris is a commemoration of a massacre. She alleged that people have been fired upon when they protested non-violently. She's also called for an international intervention in Kashmir. Listen in.
Parallels with Nazi Germany and with the Holocaust are actually very apt, because the RSS in India, and about whom concerns were raised in the morning as well, is a nationwide paramilitary that is the ideological parent of the current ruling party. And the RSS has avowedly an idea of turning India into a Hindu nation. It also has this idea of an undivided India where everything else in the region will become a part of a Hindu India. The proto-fascist trajectory that sadly the secular democracy of India is on is very worrying for us all. Every other day for Kashmiris is a commemoration of a massacre. We're asking for human rights, for substantive democracy, and for the question of freedom, that people who have been fired upon for just gathering non-violently over the years in numerous massacres that I have listed in my statement, there should be an acknowledgement from the state to say, we are sorry. There is a political problem here, which is compounded by human rights violations, and the international community has a role, because this has not just implications for Kashmiris who are currently under siege and under collective punishment, being deprived of their very basic rights, but it also has regional and potentially global implications. And dissent, when it is suffocated, becomes the hardest to handle.
And joining me for more on this, we have with us Ram Madhav, author and senior leader of the RSS. Thank you so much, Mr. Madhav, for joining us here on Times Now. So let me begin by asking you, now as per the government sources, Nitasha Kaul has been deported given her alleged stance against India. What do you make of the fact that the Karnataka government has invited her in the first place? Because the state BJP unit has, of course, put out some social media posts that you would have seen and has questioned why she was invited, called her an anti-national, quote unquote.
Madhav, first of all, I'm quite uncomfortable with the kind of airtime that this lady is getting. She doesn't deserve it in the first place. And we all must congratulate the government for taking a firm stand, not allowing this non-Indian person who spews venom about our country all over the world. Utter lies she peddles everywhere, right? You know, you showed her statement at the UN talking about massacre, talking about genocide of Muslims, etc., etc. Such a person who is, first of all, not an Indian, she is a British citizen, she is not an Indian citizen, and secondly, she is utterly anti-Indian. Such a person, she was treated as per the law of this country. May I remind to you, had it been an Indian citizen uttering these things, that Kashmir is not a part of India, there is genocide happening in India, they would have been subjected to the law of the land and probably would have ended up in Tihar jail. She should be thankful that she is not an Indian citizen. That saved her, and that is only, we could only deport her and send her back. And she doesn't deserve any additional, airspace, because airtime, I'm sorry, I'm telling you, I know her, she tells lies, her historical facts that she peddles are all very illogical facts. First of all, they are not facts, they are all false. So such a person should not get so much time on television studios. But yes, your point is very right. Should a Congress government invite such a person? When she talks about Kashmir not being a part of India, if a government is inviting her, paying for her travel, is Congress subscribing to that view that Kashmir is not a part of India? We have to subject Congress to this kind of a very big scrutiny. They are in their blind hatred for Modi, or in their desperation, they are resorting to, entertaining such utterly anti-India forces. And don't bring in any ideology. Criticizing RSS, day in and day out, everybody does.
Right.
Not because, she's trying to today create a victimhood syndrome by saying she criticized RSS, that's why she was deported. I don't think that was the real, core reason. Core reason is no person who talks against India's unity will be entertained, not just by India. Any country will not entertain such a person.
I want to get into one of those comments that she has made, and you've been very closely associated with Jammu and Kashmir. And on that note, on the abrogation of Article 370, she has been quoted as saying that this is egregious human rights violation. This is arbitrary use of power with no accountability. She refers to J&K as India-administered Kashmir and Pakistan-administered Kashmir. So the kind of phraseologies that she has, the kind of statements that she has made repeatedly over the years, would you say are extremely problematic? And many would also question, sir, in the same breath, if I can ask you, that she says she has visited India many times in recent years. Why has such action, if it was certainly something that was deserved, not taken earlier?
No, we should have taken it earlier, that I also agree. But you know, in this country, if today a government invites such a person who says that because on 15th August 1947, Kashmir did not join the dominion of India, Kashmir is not a part of India, that is her logic, you know. I mean, I have not come across such an illogical historian. I mean, such an ill-informed historian. By same logic, Madhav, Chitral was not part of a Pakistan, you know. Chitral did not join Pakistan dominion on 15th August 1947. So Chitral should not be there. NWFP's, their plebiscite happened in November 1947. So NWFP should be considered as occupied by Pakistan. I mean, more funnily, Pakistan was supposed to come into existence as per June 3rd plan on 15th August 1947, but Pakistan declared itself as a separate country on 14th August 1947. It is illogical. So logically speaking, Pakistan should not exist there. I mean, this lady is a venomous person. She is full of hatred for India. Such anti-India person being entertained by our Congress party is the actually big tragedy. Now, she is talking about atrocities against Kashmiris. Then does Congress accept that they have been in power in this country for almost 5 decades? During their tenure, she is claiming that Kashmiris have been subjected to so many atrocities. She says 1987, though elections were rigged, that is why people took to weapons and took to terrorism. She is a clandestine supporter of terrorism. Does Congress support that idea? Does it amount to freedom of expression? These Congress leaders, some of them are ministers, MLAs in Karnataka, they are saying it is freedom of expression. Does it amount to freedom of expression? To say that Kashmir is not part of India, you have indulged in genocide, Kashmir is equal to Xinjiang.
So, but you know, in her tweets, she has said that it is because of her commentary in relation to the RSS. And we saw in one of those comments where she has referred to the RSS, drawn parallels with Germany, etc., and also called it as a nationwide paramilitary. Is there any truth in the kind of claims made by her that it is her statements vis-a-vis the RSS that have attracted this action?
She has been making anti-India, anti-RSS statements all the time. Because in one of my shows itself, she started talking all sorts of nonsense. I had to contradict her. That's a different story. So here, criticizing RSS, and all those allegations are utterly baseless. No RSS leader ever went to Germany. It's utter lie. But these lies have been peddled by many people. She's also one of them. But I don't think that is the prime reason for government's action. It's much more serious when you go to the UN, when you go all over the world and say that Kashmir is occupied by India. Kashmir is under illegal occupation of India. But does she say the same thing about Pakistan? Today, a part of Kashmir is illegal occupied by Pakistan. Have you come across one statement of this lady about Pakistan illegal occupying Kashmir? She's actually, sometimes we all feel that she's actually an agent of that country. She goes to Lahore to spew venom against India. So it's not RSS. RSS is a public organization. We are subject to criticism. We know how to defend ourselves. We will do that. But country, when country, its unity, its sovereignty is questioned, if you are a citizen of this country, you will be treated accordingly. If you are an outsider, you will be thrown out. You are an outsider. You are not an Indian citizen. That's why you are spared of only deportation.
Right. So there are many political reactions coming in, but one particular reaction I just want to highlight here. PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti is accusing the BJP of quote-unquote brazenly weaponizing passports. She has given example of not just this incident, but of Atish Tashir and Ashok Swain to justify this claim. How would you respond to this allegation coming in from Ms. Mufti?
Anything, any leader, whether it is Madam Mufti or anybody, thinks that anything illegal happened with respect to passport or how you use passport, etc. In India, the judiciary is very free, very independent. Those people can happily, Mehbooba Mufti can happily go and argue that case in the court and say how it is illegal. passport to any, not passport, visa or OCI card extending to any citizen is actually a kind of, government benefit that is being extended. It is not any luxury that one can misuse it day in and day out. It is to be used very responsibly. When you are acquiring OCI card or when you are getting India's visa, whether it is e-visa or regular visa, you have to behave responsibly. You have to abide by the laws of the land. If you violate the laws, if you indulge in seditious statements, like the one this lady is making, it amounts to sedition. Such cases will be treated accordingly.
All right. Ram Madhav, I'd like to thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking to us here at Times Now, sir.
Thank you.
All right, let's open this up and take this across to our other guest. Joining us with us is Surbhi Hodigere, spokesperson of the BJP. Sushil Pandit is an activist. Joining us with us also is advocate Umar Junaidi. He's a political analyst. With us also is Syed Fazal Kashani, who's a political analyst as well. Let me start with you first, advocate Umar Junaidi. And you heard Mr. Ram Madhav a few moments ago. He says that here is a person who has made a series, not one or two, but a series of irresponsible statements, particularly when it comes to Jammu and Kashmir, and is even seen taking the side of Pakistan, he says, on several issues, at least in terms of the stance that has been taken. Why is the Karnataka government inviting such a person in the first place is a question that the BJP and that Mr. Ram Madhav are asking.
Good evening, Madhav. BJP, as soon as the elections come on the peak, whenever is the environment of election in the country or state, tries to use this tool of the national and anti-national to confuse the people of India or the state. Now, the government of Karnataka has organized a program on the constitution, and an academician comes to India for the lecture or discussion, or to say whatever program it is on the constitutional values, and just because the ideology of that academician doesn't suit with the ideology of RSS and BJP, that is the reason they tag her as the anti-national. They call her as the
Sir, may I just ask you one simple question? Advocate Junaidi, you can fight it out with the BJP, but do you believe that in Jammu and Kashmir, India is an occupying force? In the name of democracy, we are occupying Jammu and Kashmir. Do you agree with that perception?
No, I totally don't agree to the.
So why would you invite a person who says that time and again? A person who calls it Pakistan administered Kashmir as an Indian. Don't you want to call it Pakistan occupied Kashmir?
Definitely, Madhav. This is the point to be debated on. But the thing is, if she is calling whatever statement she is making, it's her own perspective, but the topic here is the constitutional values on which...
Sir, I have no problem. You may invite people, debate. It's entirely the discretion of any individual. But the point is that if a state government starts inviting such people whose position is diametrically opposite to that of the government of India, whichever government it may be, because even if it was the UPA government and she was making these statements, it would have still been problematic.
No, Madhav, I am not justifying her comments or her past statements, but what I am trying to make a point is whatever the past of the academician might be, when she is renowned in the world because of the fight she is having against, she is wanting the gender equality and other issues of the society, and within she speaks very well on the constitutional values of the democratic country.
Surbhi Hodigere, she was invited because of her views on gender justice. Would you like to respond to Advocate Umar Junaidi on that?
Absolutely. I think it comes as such a surprise and bewilderment when anybody tries to defend somebody who I would consider as ultra-left at this point in time. And the Congress party, unfortunately, has become synonymous to this ultra-left ideology that the world is seeing all over. And I want to make a specific point about Karnataka, Madhav, because I am from Karnataka and I'm right here. I have been seeing this conference go on for about 3 terms, first when Siddaramaiah was Chief Minister before and the first time here now. This conference is a convention of people who have views that are problematic against the sovereignty and security of India. There is people who have a range of views, and for some reason we have to invite academics from across the world to come and talk about our constitution when there are constitutional experts sitting right here and there. Now, the conversation that has started over here on whether she was an academic and her freedom of speech was restricted because of so and so. First and foremost, I have had experience of being in American universities. I've known what UK universities do. Their academic freedom of expression is nil. They decide, pick and choose who they want to give platform to. Second, her academic work is under consideration. She is not globally renowned. She is renowning herself. That's about it. There's a whole bunch of people whose work goes against or fails the test of academic scrutiny, and it's only PR. That's what her sort of things are. But to come to the very important point, Madhav, which Ram Madhav ji also very clearly mentioned, this is an anti-country, India's sovereignty being questioned again and again. Why should she be given a platform? I asked the Congress government here in Karnataka, did you not find any other constitutional expert to talk about what really is happening or not happening? Have you done any research? Is there any panel on how India during Indira Gandhi's rule went into emergency and how to not have something like that? No. Don't claim academic freedom. Don't claim freedom of expression, because this is a purely political, ultra left-wing convention that you're hosting in taxpayers' money of Karnataka. Mind you, Karnataka government currently says that they do not have money for development.
Okay.
That is the state of affairs in our state right now.
Yeah.
There is a huge loan sitting on every public. There's a huge public debt.
That's a separate issue. That's a separate issue. Let's please. And we have debated that several times on the show. Surbhi Hodigere, let me just come in and bring in some of the other panelists who've not yet spoken. I want to bring in one by one, please.
Whoever talks in favor of RSS is the national, globally renowned academician and come to India and have the lecture on the constitutional values. Whoever is against of the ideology of RSS is the anti-national, and she is the same Kashmiri Pandit on the basis of whom the BJP has been doing the politics since its the launch of the BJP. Kashmiri Pandit is always their agenda to talk on, and today when a Kashmiri Pandit goes against the views of the RSS, RSS and the BJP, shouts he is anti-national, not globally renowned and all.
Is there any curtail on their freedom of speech? Actually, Madhav, Sidramaiah government here in Karnataka arrested somebody for speaking against him on a social media post. That is the sort of anti-freedom that exists. Please don't talk to us about this. One second.
They make them the...
Okay, one by one. Mr. Junaidi.
There are such people.
Yeah, one by one, please. Let's not have a shouting match. You made your point, Mr. Junaidi. Quick response on Surbhi, then I go across to Sushil Pandit and Mr. Kashani. Yeah, Surbhi.
She travels to India 12 hours.
No,
comes to
sorry.
India, where the immigration
I do not.
doesn't have
If I may complete.
Okay. So let me paraphrase what Umar Junaidi is saying. Umar Junaidi is saying you're targeting her because she doesn't agree with. One second. Listen to my question, Surbhi Hodigere. She's being targeted because she does not subscribe to the ideology of the BJP and because she's been invited by an opposition state government. Please respond to the charge that he is making.
Sure. Every day in and day out, if you open Twitter, you will see a bunch of people who are angry with the BJP for taking on film stars, to taking on writers, everybody who don't have a pro-BJP view, and yet the government brings them forth to do advertisements, to give them invites to different occasions. This government does not believe in you have our view, we will support you. No. The cabal that the Congress government ran, the sort of kitchen parties that they had, that is not how this government works. However, there is a line we do not cross, Madhav, and that line constitutes the sovereignty of our country. Please think from a geopolitical sense to every other panelist over here. America has the Aliens Friend Act. Do you know that they can deport anybody from their country with a particular condition if they feel any suspicion that they are against the country or they're going to cause harm to the country? Please. This is not a world where, there are certain threats. There truly are. Do we need to be any more Cautious, yes, of course.
Okay.
If she has particular views
Yeah.
that are very clearly, the Congress party should explain. Why would you call somebody who has this view on Kashmir? Why would you call somebody who's pro-Pakistan?
Let me bring in Mr. Sushil Pandit on that note. Sushil Pandit, a few moments ago, we heard Umar Junaidi say on the show that she is a Kashmiri Pandit, the same Kashmiri Pandits who BJP speaks about. But when a Kashmiri Pandit enters the country, she is restricted. I don't really see the connection in this case because, or really, of course, I would like you to come in on this and put out your views or your response to Umar Junaidi.
Thank you, Madhav, for getting me on the show. I don't know who told him she's a Kashmiri Pandit. I've also heard this rumor that she is one. But how does it make a difference? She may have a name sounding like that of a Kashmiri Pandit. But if someone is in bed with jihad, is pushing the propaganda of a leftist cabal inimical to Indian interests, if she is a careerist who wants to advance her academic career by kowtowing to the lines laid down by her mentors, her guides, and the academic atmosphere where she wants to thrive, what does that have to do with being a Kashmiri Pandit? A jihadi is a jihadi is a jihadi no matter where she is. And if she is furthering that propaganda, I am not surprised that Mr. Junaidi is supporting her. In fact, anyone who propels jihadi propaganda, dismembering this country, seeking to take away a Muslim majority province of this country out of our union just because it is Muslim majority, is a pernicious jihadi propaganda. And anywhere you hear of this, in any name, under any circumstances or pretext, whether it is discussing constitutional democracy, human rights, gender justice, whatever it may be, it cannot be allowed to prevail. It cannot be allowed to happen on this in this country. I heard Ram Madhav say that she's carrying a foreign passport, which is why she was not held. I want to know, when was it that a foreign national is allowed to violate our laws and get away with it? Does she have a diplomatic immunity? Foreign nationals and Indian citizens are equally subjected to Indian laws in Indian territory. And if she has violated laws, she should have been actually prosecuted here. I'm surprised why she is allowed to just go back. So
I'll put that question across to Surbhi Hodigere, certainly. But let me quickly bring in Mr. Kashani. Mr. Kashani, today the BJP Karnataka unit has put out a tweet. I'm just going to read out 2 lines and you can respond to that. They've said that Congress is using Karnataka as a laboratory to prepare ground for its divisive agendas, undermining national unity, integrity. At the cost of the taxpayers' money, the state is channeling funds to terrorist sympathizers, urban Naxals, anti-nationals. Your response, Mr. Kashani.
Well, Madhav, I need to point out 2-3 things here. I heard Mr. Ram Madhav talking about it. I heard the spokesperson of BJP talking about it. From both the people from BJP who were talking before me, all I could sense is the arrogance of power. I mean, one could easily say that this is what will get BJP down again, the arrogance of power that they have shown time and again on this. Secondly, coming back to Nitasha's deportment, let me ask one simple question to the spokesperson of BJP. Is our judiciary so helpless that we cannot act on such people after the crime has been, after something has been said? Are we so helpless? Are we so helpless in terms of judiciary? And why this is a democratic country? Why can't we have a debate? One can have the difference of opinion. One's opinion cannot match it. That is fine. But why can't we have a debate on table? Thirdly, a lot of times this point was raised that anybody questioning the sovereignty of our country will not be spared. Let me tell you one thing. We had multiple statements coming from Organization of Islamic Countries in which many UAE countries were also present. But then we see no action taking against them. But our Prime Minister is going and meeting the administrators and the rulers of the same country. Why is this targeting selective?
Surbi Hodigere, and also, of course, please respond to the question raised by Sushil Pandit as well. You have 2 questions to respond to.
Absolutely. I'll get to the question raised by Sushil Pandit. He spoke very well about his views as well. I'd like to say to Syed Fazal, first and foremost, my name is Surabhi Hodigere. Yes, I'm the spokesperson, but we do well to remember my name as well. And no, sir, we are not being arrogant. Trust me, a party that has gone from 2 to where we are right now cannot afford to be arrogant. In my home state, there are BJP karyakartas being killed for their views. In TMC ruled Calcutta and in West Bengal, you're seeing what the situation is of people who support the BJP. And I myself have faced this discrimination, shutting down of voices when I was in US studying in Harvard University. These are places where the freedom of speech is shown as some sort of a virtue and value, and the right to dissent is shown as a way of life, but actually they are suppressing it,
all right,
making sure that narratives...
Completely out of time, Surabhi Hodigere. Sorry, I'm interrupting you there. Would have liked to have a much longer debate on this issue, but Surabhi Hodigere, Advocate Umar Junaidi, Syed Fazal Kashani and Sushil Pandit, thanks so much for joining us this evening. Certainly not the last word we've heard on this debate, but one will have to see, of course, what the ramifications are from here on. Thanks so much for joining us.